Hello everyone, good evening and welcome to Roma Theory. How are we doing? This is your new Serie A season 2024-2025. I hope you missed these match previews. I hope you missed Roma because that's the most important thing. Because sometimes Roma's tough. It's a tough life. The life of a Roma fan is tough. But once a season ends, we always have withdrawal symptoms. Well, if you've missed this feeling, if you've missed these talks, these pre-game talks, these post-game talks, we are back. And as the title says, ready, set, go. So this is your match preview for the Cagliari game. First official game of the season. How is everybody doing, first of all? A second thing, of course, if there are new people here, probably asking what match previews are. These are pre-game talks where I give my opinion, my predicted 11, how Roma will approach the game, a little analogy, a little analysis on our opponents, which in this case are Cagliari, and just general vibes around the team before a game. I have missed this so much. It's not been an easy couple of days for us Roma fans because this Dybala situation has kind of changed our perspectives of the season. It has brought a negative attitude to us fans. Well, unfortunately, it is sad, and I must say that after having heard De Rossi's press conference today, I am fully convinced that Dybala is going to leave and will not be a Roma player next week. De Rossi did say that Dybala is available for tomorrow's game, that he is going to be there on the plane tonight, flying to Sardinia, south of Italy, for the Cagliari game. But from the vibes and the feelings that I got from De Rossi's press conference, they're not good. Because I genuinely feel like in that press conference, De Rossi didn't use the official words, but he said in other words that Dybala is no longer part of this Roma project. And I'm going to get into this in a second because I'm going to mix these match previews with these press conference reactions. Now look, the one thing that I would say, coming to this game is us fans don't have control of what goes around actually inside the club. Us fans can't interfere with the decisions, the decision-making processes, and all the decisions that the club gets and picks and chooses. So I think we have to stick to the cheering, to the support, to the singing, and of course, after every game, building our own opinions. We are football fans. This Dybala situation has kind of changed the vibe of this start of the season. And as much as it is sad, as many people say, nobody is bigger than Roma. Roma is Roma, and Roma is back playing tomorrow. So let's forget about this internal thing of Dybala. Let's see what happens with it, and we have to focus on tomorrow's game. Because we have to avoid making the same mistake that we've made last season, which is start bad, because we've seen it. When you start bad in the season, then what happens is that it's tougher for you, to pick up momentum. It's tougher for you, especially if you start really bad and other teams, your competitors and your opponents start well. A gap and a distance starts to form. And the more points you lose, the harder this distance is to kind of culminate. So we have to start off well. The way I see a start to the season, to a football season, is very similar to an F1 race. In an F1 race, the number one thing that every pilot needs to do is think about starting fast, think about starting well. Then whatever happens throughout the race happens throughout the race. Your car could get broken down, your tires could get deflated, the pilot could get sick, and all of these factors can contribute to you losing points, losing positions. But the number one thing in a race, in a vehicle race, in an F1 race, in a motorcycle race, is the start. And the number one thing in a race is you have to start fast. You have to start first. This is the way I see it. We've made the mistake last season of not starting well, and all of the consequences were seen and calculated at the end of the season. This time around, focus. Because there is no more playing around. We have to get Champions League football. And the scenario and the result of us getting Champions League football certainly doesn't end, or certainly doesn't contribute after the first game of the season. You know, the first game of the season is the first game of the season. After, you've got 35 more games, which, you know, you can lose the first game of the season and still win the league. But I am sticking with the idea that the better you start, the better you continue. The better you start, the better momentum you can drag on. And it's all about consistency. It's all about momentum. It's all about game by game, dragging this momentum forward, bringing it forward with you, and trying to win as many games as possible. And that is the only way that we can resolve our objectives this season. Otherwise, it's going to be another failing season. So we're playing against a team, which I'm going to break down in a second, speak about them in a second. Now, of course, new season, new match preview. Everybody hit the like. I want 100 likes on this match preview if you're ready, if you're enthusiastic, if you're readier than ever, and if you think and you're positively thinking that Roma are going to win tomorrow. So 100 likes on this live stream video would be great. So, the team. How is the team preparing for this game? Look, let's not lie to ourselves. This Dybala situation, the timing of this Dybala situation hasn't helped the team. Let's not lie to ourselves that the timing of this Dybala situation can't have helped the other team, the rest of the team, because all of the players know that their biggest player is on the verge of leaving. The environment, the fans are protesting, the fans are confused, the fans are perplexed, and this earthquake that hit Roma after the Dybala rumours can negatively contribute to our first game of the season, and therefore our start and initial approach to the season. Which is why I've massively criticized the timing of this, because it destabilizes an environment. And when I mean it destabilizes an environment, it destabilizes the fan, it destabilizes the manager's ideas, and number three, most important thing, it destabilizes the fan base. And we've seen this in the history of this club. We've seen this personally last season. When the fans and the team are not united, the results are not going to be there. So, you know, this is another way to criticize this Dybala situation. This is another this is another perfect position and reason as to why it's perfectly fine to criticize the timing of this Dybala situation and this Dybala chaos. Now, of course, a lot of people might be asking, is Dybala going to start? Is Dybala going to play? What De Rossi said in the press conference is that Dybala is going to leave with the team. As you will see from my predicted 11, I don't think Dybala is going to start, because you do not start a player who's in the middle of a negotiation, especially if you're pushing him to go away because you need to resolve the wage bill and because you don't believe anymore. So I don't think Dybala is going to start. Will Dybala get subbed in if we need him? Well, yes, but I think it would be very ironic, because if Dybala gets subbed in because we need him and then he resolves the game, the Fredkins would auto-stab their decision of putting Dybala on the transfer market and on the transfer list. However, again, I don't wanna speak about this Dybala situation any longer, because as De Rossi said in the press conference, you know, nobody is bigger than Roma. And this is a correct concept. We have to move on. You know, we've seen bigger players leave the club, we've seen managers leave the club, and we've seen owners leave the club, and we've always moved. So if Dybala leaves, unfortunately, we will have to accept this and we will have to move forward. So that is how I think Roma prepares for this game. I think, you know, Roma had a good pre-season, not in terms of quality of friendly games, because I think all of the friendly games that we played were massively below our quality. You know, that doesn't mean that we won all friendly games, and we didn't win all friendly games. What I'm saying is, all of the friendly games that we played were teams which were below our level. But the good thing about the preseason is that we trained a lot, high intensity training sessions under some torrid heat in Rome with double training sessions each day. Hopefully after this preseason, the players are physically ready for the start of the season. They won't exhaust themselves by April. And number one thing, which is a contributor to these initial months, the heat. Tomorrow's game is an evening game, but the heat is going to be big. So, this is another thing that this preseason in Rome under the heat helped with, to kind of get the feeling of not dying on the pitch with these terrible weather conditions. Now look, this is how I think Roma prepare for this game. Definitely focused, definitely readier than ever, especially De Rossi is readier than ever in my opinion. But, of course, this situation of Dybala doesn't help. It destabilizes and it further complicates an already complicated game. Now, speaking about Cagliari, a little few words on Cagliari, our opponents. I don't think Cagliari are a relegation team. I don't think Cagliari are relegation material. I don't think that Cagliari is 100% safe, seen on paper at the start of the season. I do still think that Cagliari do need to fight their way through not getting relegated, but I don't see Cagliari as a team who's close to relegation. I think they've got a few interesting players. Of course, their manager changed. Ranieri last season brought a lot of experience, which is why I think this team has matured a lot. Ranieri is somebody who bases his philosophy on work hard, be humble to yourselves, and if you work hard and be humble to yourself, then the results are going to come. Ranieri is somebody who implanted a lot of experience into these group of players. Adding on to this, the fact that Ranieri got replaced with Nicola, who is a relegation guru, further reinforces the fact that I don't see Cagliari as a team who is going to get relegated this season. Nicola is a relegation guru. It's a good thing for us because it's always bad. It's always tougher to face him at the end of the season. Davide Nicola is always a manager who starts off pretty bad, but then always manages to save his teams from relegation because he's got this straight history and pattern of saving teams from Crotone to Salernitana. Last season with Empoli in the last game week of the season against us. He knows what to do when relegation becomes a problem. He's not good at starting well, which is why I think this is another factor of how we need to win this game, because this is a team that will probably face relegation periods, which will probably face a relegation threat. And we need to get as many points as possible from these teams to then have a bit more of a breather, if we can use this term, against bigger teams. This doesn't mean that it's going to be an easy game. They've got a few interesting players. Lapadula, experienced striker. Luvumbosito is a fast player. They bought Piccoli, Atalanta striker, who was on loan to Lecce last season. He scored in their first Coppa Italia round against Carrarese. And then the biggest duel of the game will 100% be Yerry Mina against Artem Dovbyk. Yerry Mina is a bastard. Yerry Mina is somebody who wants to make you play bad using his shitty attitude. He wants to get you booked. He wants to get you, he wants to influence you by being a bastard. So the Dovbyk-Yerry Mina physical duel is going to be a very, very interesting one in tomorrow's game. So this is what I can say about Cagliari. The stadium is always a tough stadium to play in. It's the most southest stadium in Italy. You're going to travel there and all of that. And of course, first games of the season are always tough because the rhythm isn't there, the consistency isn't there, and the momentum isn't there. It's about starting well. And, you could fuck it up and you could go well. It's a 50-50. First games of the season are 50-50 games. And this is something that we need to understand. One last thing here is, I'm going to give a little comment on De Rossi's words. Now, of course, De Rossi's press conference today, it was inevitably going to be on Dybala. I think he got asked 0 questions on tomorrow's game. Formation questions, tactic questions. The press conference today was to do with Paulo Dybala's sale. And I ain't gonna lie, I like to be honest. I think De Rossi handled the situation really well, because it's not easy, because the pressure of the media is big. I think he handled the questions really well. You know, he used the concepts of nobody is bigger than the club, and all of that. But I'm going to be very honest. I also think there was a tint of the press conference that De Rossi got wrong. Why am I saying this? Number one, I'm saying this because De Rossi basically confirmed that Dybala is going to leave. That there is no part of me believing that Dybala is going to stay after hearing De Rossi's press conference. De Rossi has basically said but not said that Dybala won't be a Roma player by Wednesday of next week. He used the term, he used some phrases such as, he got asked, why is Dybala not part of the project? And he answered the question going, this is something that Dybala will say to you. I said what I had to say to the team, to the player, and to the ownership. He also said that we could imitate what Napoli did. Napoli sold their biggest players like Fabian Ruiz, Koulibaly, Mertens and Insigne, and still won the league. And he said how big teams can sell their biggest players and still go well. And I think that perfectly confirms the fact that Dybala is leaving. And number three, he said nobody is bigger than the club, which again, I agree. It's the concept that we base ourselves on. And it's a 100% correct concept. I'm not criticizing him after saying this. This is the concept. If nobody wants to be here, they can go. Nobody is bigger than the club. But I think De Rossi got this press conference a bit wrong. First one, because he's normally really good at it. I got this wrong, and I think I wasn't massively satisfied by it, because us fans need answers. As fans need answers because we are the victims of the unknown. We are stranded in this position where we do not know what the fuck is going on. Has anybody here got a clue why Dybala is leaving? We don't. And as much as the concept of nobody's bigger than the club are 100% correct, as I repeat, they don't answer our questions. This phrase doesn't answer the question, my doubts on why Dybala has been put on the transfer market and basically on the verge of leaving the club 24 hours before the league starts. Why? So, this is the last time I'm going to mention this, because I already know that Dybala is going to leave, and I already posted a rant. I already posted my thoughts on this situation, which is embarrassing in my opinion. I'm going to end it here with one last thing. I can understand why the club would want to sell Dybala. And it's not that pisses me off. I could understand it. There are so many reasons why the club would want to sell him. He earns a lot. He's always injured. I agree. But what I don't understand, and what I will fail to understand even when Dybala leaves, is why the hell have we decided this right now? I cannot put my head around the fact that this decision has been made last week and that it's been announced today. Why? Why couldn't we have done this earlier? Why couldn't we have mutually agreed with him earlier? Dybala leaving deserves a proper replacement. So why have we decided this right now? Soulé is a great player, but are we sure that Soulé, young as he is, still has got a lot to prove, unexperienced player, has got the talent and the quality and the technique to lift this team and carry this team on its back like Dybala did in the dark moments? I don't think Soulé is that player yet. He can become that player, but he's not. Dybala leaving deserves a proper replacement. So, I'm criticizing the timing of this. The decision, I can base my judgment around it. I could understand why in May we would have come up with this decision. Season ends, change completely the project, sell Dybala, sell Lukaku, sell the high wages, and completely rebuild. But why today? Why this week? I don't get this. I really don't get this. I will never get this. With that being said, I fully back the manager. I fully back the manager's decisions, and I fully trust him and back him for the season. let the season start. Right, predicted 11 is this. My predicted 11 is this. Zvilor in goal. I think we're going to start with a 4-3-3. De Rossi can intertwine between quite a few formations. Dybala as a false nine was a consideration. 3 at the back was another consideration. But I think first game of the season, start with the formation that you know the best. Zvilor in goal, Angelino Celik on the flanks, and Ndika and Mancini in the middle, who are the centre-back pairing that De Rossi trusts and prefers the most. In the middle, Pellegrini, Cristante, and Enzo. Paredes, people asking about Paredes. Number 1, Paredes is disqualified for this game because he got booked in the last game of the season. Number 2, even if Paredes wasn't disqualified and suspended, Paredes isn't ready. Paredes was the last player to join the preseason due to the Copa America. De Rossi said in the press conference how Paredes is going to play top minutes with the youth team this weekend to get the minutes in his legs. Paredes isn't ready and Paredes isn't available. So, due to the lack of midfielders, I mean, look, Bove could start. I would start Bove ahead of Cristante in this game. But I'm afraid De Rossi doesn't see in Bove a player who controls the midfield like Cristante. I don't know. Bove just changed number. Apparently he's leaving. Apparently he's not. Confusion at its best. Pellegrini, Cristante and Enzo in the middle. And I'm going to go with Sule, El Shaarawy and Dovbyk up front. This is the Dovbyk game. This is the game where Dovbyk can start scoring. It's an easier opponent to try and get the rhythm of the Serie A and kind of get orientated to the league to then be more threatening and powerful and effective in bigger games, something which Lukaku never did, scoring in big games. So it's about Dovbyk, it's about starting, scoring and getting the rhythm against these teams to then bring it to the bigger games and bigger stages. El Shaarawy on the left and Sule on the right. So yeah, look, last thing to say is this lineup shows to you that the team is incomplete. We still need a few signings. We need a right back, we need a left winger, and we need another centre back and another midfielder. Apparently, Assignon and Abdul Hamid are 2 right backs that are on the verge of signing for Roma. So this is my match preview. Let me read a few comments on the stream. Right, Chelsea, unfortunately, I can see us not winning tomorrow night, and that is going to immediately cause problems with possible protests at Trigoria. Well, look, patience is key. We've always said this. If we don't win tomorrow, it's the first game of the season. However, if we don't win tomorrow, it's about winning the next game. It's about, starting tougher but going high and not like we did last season. 3 games, 3 losses. If we lose tomorrow, we win the next one and we build from the defeat. If Dybala leaves, we're not getting Champions League. Rinnovo I miei complimenti. Sei molto bravo, peccato per la lingua inglese, ma capisco che per emergere bisogna diversificare. Grazie mille. What's really bizarre is, can you imagine what would happen if Dybala is benched, then comes on and scores, then gets sold straight after? Well, you know what? Ironically, what us fans should hope, the fans which really want Dybala to stay, what they should hope for tomorrow is Dybala comes in and gets injured and is out for like 3 weeks. Because then that would make the deal collapse. So, ironically, us fans should, if we really want Dybala to stay and try to make the deal collapse, ironically, we have to hope that Dybala gets subbed in tomorrow and gets injured. Because that's the only way the deal gets collapsed. As I said before, De Rossi's press conference today confirms that De Rossi is leaving. Sorry, Dybala, not De Rossi. The season hasn't started yet and many tifosi act like all is lost already. Well, I agree on that comment, but my question to you is, are you happy your biggest player is leaving? Because I don't think nobody is. Being a Roma fan is also wanting the best for the team. We can be as traditionalist as we want. We could base ourselves on nobody's bigger than the club, sell the players who want to leave, sell them all, nobody's bigger than the club. And that is true. But when we put traditionalist views over realistic views, then we're not going to go anywhere. Who here wants their biggest player to leave? Who here is going to accept the ownership communicating to Dybala that he's no longer part of this project and leaving 2 days before the league starts. Are you happy with that? Because I'm not. You could be happy with that. But then, if you're happy with that, how do you want the best from the team? And from the successes of the team? I am here to support my team, but to see my team succeed. And seeing my owners and my club selling my biggest player 2 days before the league starts, 1 day before the league starts, when they could have had 2 months to do this, I feel betrayed. This is my personal view. You could agree, disagree, but this is what I think. That is a conspiracy theory. You think they are so stupid to do that and rile up the entire fan base? That's just wild speculation. It isn't simple at all. We don't know what the situation is. You'll be fine without Dybala if Roma performs and we qualify for Champions League. Of course. But, of course. And if we get Champions League without Dybala and with this current team, it's a decision, we respect it. We achieved their objectives. But, again, we have to be real. Do we think we have a chance of getting Champions League with this current team, without Paulo Dybala? We can. We're going to fight for it. We're going to believe in it. But sometimes it's also about being real. We didn't get Champions League football with last season's team adding Dybala. This season's team is exactly the same, if you ask me. This team right now, with the delays in the transfer window, is exactly the same level as last season. If you get Dybala away from it, it's lower than last season. So, I'm going to believe in Champions League. And of course I'm going to say, if Dybala leaves, we're going to be there. We're going to hope in Champions League. We're going to support the team through the ups and downs. But it's also about being real. I don't think we are going to get Champions League if Dybala leaves. I might be very wrong, and I will take my words back if we do at the end of the season. But this is a pre-season comment. So, this is what I think. I mean, anybody can think what they want. You could celebrate Dybala leaving. You could not give a fuck about Dybala leaving. That's not me. Because I want to see my team succeed. And no serious club sells their biggest player 24 hours before the league starts. Nobody does that. Have we ever seen a serious club doing this? No. In May, had they done this in May, I would have said nothing. Right now, what happened? Why are we doing it now? Weren't we aware of Dybala's fitness? Weren't we aware of Dybala's contract wage increase after 14 appearances? Weren't all of these considerations that we already had in our head? Then why did we make this decision now? That I don't understand. And I want an answer. As a fan, I want an answer as to why this scenario has opened up right now. Because I find this disrespectful to us. And I also find this very disrespectful to Dybala, as I said before. No, I'm not Dybala. I wish him all the best. But it's very disrespectful to him. This is what I think. Anybody can think what they want. I'll catch you tomorrow with a match reaction. There are not going to be live watch-alongs anymore, my friends. I hope you read the community post. I am starting university in a few weeks. So, of course, I got to balance the channel, dedicate less time to it, and dedicate more time to university as well. So, from this season onwards, there are not going to be live watch-alongs except some special occasions, but there are going to be match reactions, and I'm going to catch you tomorrow with it. Hit the like, subscribe. We are officially back, Romanisti, and I'll talk to you soon. Simo, out.